Well, anybody that's ever seen me before will probably tell you that I've been piling on the kilos lately. Yeah, there's a reason for this rapid weight fluctuation, and it's since I quit using narcotics. Now I can't go back to Manchester, my hometown, where the use of narcotics is virtually compulsory, obligatoire. If I see anybody I know, it's, "Hey, Dr. Clarke, get back on drugs, you fat fuck." They're not being helpful, frankly. To the point where I wrote a poem about it. This one's called "Get Back on Drugs, You Fat Fuck." When I go back to Longridge Park, does anybody wish me good luck? All they say is, "Hey, Dr. Clarke, get back on drugs, you fat fuck. Get back on drugs, you fat bastard. Get back on drugs, you fat fuck. We only like you when you're plastered. Get back on drugs, you fat fuck." They say I'm piling on the pounds, but that ain't the reason I suck. Well, put the donut down and get back on drugs, you fat fuck. Get back on drugs, you fat degenerate. Get back on them, you schmuck. You're the size of a minor emirate. You were good once, but I don't remember it. Get back on drugs, you fat jumping Jehoshaphat. Get back on drugs, you fat spirit. Thanks a lot, thank you. They're not being helpful, frankly. So just watch out. I'm trying to work out, is this thing going down or up? Down. Thanks. So when it gets to where? What number? 10. When it gets down to Christ, I knew time didn't go that fast. Sorry about this, I've got deja vu and amnesia at the same time. I can't remember what happens next. This next thing here, it's called crossing the floor. I'm multitasking here. Sorry about this. I can't read my own writing since they made me a doctor. Suddenly my handwriting has become totally illegible. Try to see it from my point of view. So I'm looking for one, it's called Crossing the Floor. This is a hot topic, but I wrote this years ago. And, you know, people, the part of Manchester where I come from isn't very tolerant of aberrant sex. You know, in fact, to be gay, it's the same thing as being dead. Here's a specimen conversation. "Hey, I just seen Kevin. Have you heard the news? He's gay." "No, have you heard the news about Kevin? He's gay." "I just seen him." So it's not like we're not very sophisticated in these areas. So all this transsexual business is very new. Everywhere anyway, but I was on this thing, GMTV. For the first time when daytime TV happened in England. GMTV. And I'm going to have to do it from my non-existent memory, I can't. GMTV I was on, and I used to believe it stood for Give Me the Valium. But then I was on it, and I realised it stood for Genetically Modified Transvestite. Because GMTV very quickly became formulaic. Understandable, it's a tough brief, filling in 3 hours of TV every morning of the week. So it becomes a bit repetitive on the formulaic front. You know, it became disease of the week, followed by a disgruntled transsexual who'd had the big snip, only to discover that, believing he would unlock the doors to paradise, only to discover tragically that he has merely opened a Pandora's box of problems that he didn't see coming in the first place even. The protrusive nature of the male larynx, beyond the help of any throat surgeon. He's got size 42 shoes. No chiropodist can help him. His birth certificate still says Mr., and there's nothing any lawyer can do about that. It's a tragedy. But you see the before and after pictures of these unfortunate individuals. And it's never some Nancy boy. It's always some 27-stone truck driver that has to shave 5 times a day, confused about their gender. In England, anyway, I don't know what it's like in Spain, but in England, that's the way it is. I feel like a woman trapped in a man's body, don't I? Seems to me, you know, to recommend surgery at this stage is it's a surgical solution to a psychological problem. As a doctor, my response would be simply this. It goes against the first line of the hippopotamus oath. So do no harm. So I can't remove a perfectly functioning organ on what is, after all, a mental aberration. I can recommend a reputable psychiatrist, but try to get used to it. You're a guy. However, if you have problems with this, I can help you adjust with a reputable, state-of-the-art psychiatrist. After all, if you were a psychiatrist and somebody showed up in your consulting room saying, I think I'm Napoleon, you wouldn't give him a white horse and advise him to invade Russia. So I've thought about it a lot, as you can see. So you don't have to. And I've collected my thoughts into the poetical discipline with this one. This one's called Crossing the Floor. You have this term in Spain, crossing the floor. It means, in England, it means you leave one party, the Conservative Party, to join the Labour Party, or vice versa. But in this case, it concerns itself with people who leave the male sex in order to join the female sex. I was going to say, or vice versa, but there ain't much traffic in the opposite direction. So here we go with crossing the floor. Sick of picking up all of these checks, putting up shells, wearing these kecks. I want to be one of the weaker sex. I'm crossing the floor. The darts team are going to show me the door. The barbers, the bookies, the B&Q. I was a geezer just like you. It started with a handbag, now I got to get the shoes. Crossing the floor. I'm not exactly Diana Dawes. I'm trapped in a man's body. I feel like Madonna, but I look like Bill Oddie. I feel like the Shirelles, but I look like Shawaddy Waddy. Crossing the floor. I'm unhappy and that's against the law. I lost my own holiday money for a nylon syrup. It isn't funny. Some weirdo calls me honey. Give it a go, you never know anymore. Crossing the floor. All that glitters ain't Zaza Gabor.